What is up, Square Nation? Welcome back to No Counters, No Combos. And I know it's been a very long time since I actually posted a video on here for you guys, but it's also been a very long time since I've done one of these face camera videos. Um, we are in what I like to call Hell Week or Hell Month, if you want to call it that. And we're here testing a lot of different variants and decks for the upcoming Invitational in Atlantic City, hosted by ARG. So I've kind of been on the grind here. But in between all that, I was able to get third place at one of my preliminaries and earn my invite to regionals. So it was a 24-man event, so there was enough invitations for the first three placers, and I went X1, so 5 rounds, so it was 4-1 with Skillless Goku, and it was a yellow variant. Now, I know that Skillless Goku is a pretty popular leader right now, and I know that the blue variant has had a lot of success. I'm planning on testing the blue variant this upcoming week, so I'll save my judgment until I finish testing it. But I will say that I was able to put together a pretty solid list with the help of a couple people. Shout out to my boy Evan, who's always been a proponent of yellow and skillless. And I was finally able to put a good list together and have pretty decent matchups across the board. So we're going to get right into it. Some of these cards, or most of these cards, are self-explanatory, but I am going to go over some of the specific text that I chose to use, especially when it comes to yellow. So first off, you see Mira, you see Banisher Fu, and you see Demigra. Excuse me. Obviously, Demigra is going to be your main finisher on curve at 5 energy, but I kind of wanted to have a toolbox overwhelm option. Mira is a really good finisher if your opponent goes down to 2 life and you have Bad Ring and Champa, and then Banisher Fu and Massain, which you can see later on in the list there, just kind of work as some really good spot removals. They're both double strikers, so they can pressure for lots of damage there. But I kind of wanted to have a little toolbox engine going on there just to be ready for every situation. Whether it was, my opponent's going wide, I had the answer with Massain, or if it was, my opponent's just sitting on something big, I had the answer with Fu. So these were the ratios I chose, and Skillless never really has a problem with drawing cards, so you do see them fairly enough throughout the game. I was never really wanting anything. Of course, the card that I don't ever see is Demigra, so it never really wins me a game, but it's there. Just the fear of my opponent knowing that I have Demigra for them on turn 5 is enough for me. But for the most part, Mira was my finisher at this tournament. So we're going to skip on over to Power Burst. I run 4 Power Bursts. It is the only negate, essentially, that I'm running in the deck. So I think 4 is a really good number, especially because it gets you back your Kid Gokus and your Aandroidd 8s, which is pretty important. And it's a Sparking negate, so you can control whether you take life or not to put yourself in super combo range. Next, we're playing 2 Training Buddy Krillin. I like 2 Training Buddy Krillin a lot. I do think this is one of the better cards in the deck, so I definitely see some value pumping it up to 3 of. But as you can see, my ratios are a bit different. So I think 2 in this specific list is the best number, but if you're going to experiment with more 2-drop skillless or vanilla targets, I could definitely see the value in increasing the number of Training Buddy Krillin. It just does a lot for you. For 2 energy, it puts 2 bodies on board. You can get rid of those pesky little 1-drops or 5Ks, Borgos, Wheeze, Crisis Crusher, stuff like that. So it definitely gets you there. It's another body to put on board. It's a black card, which you need definitely a good amount of black cards for Demigra, but it's definitely a solid card, and I could definitely see people experimenting with different ratios. Next, we're playing 4 of the Master Roshi super combos. In this specific build, because I am overwhelming a lot, I do like the 4 Master Roshis at 4 life as opposed to the Temporal Rescue Trunks super combo with the Sparking, just because I feel like it's easier for me to get to 4 life than it is to have 5 and drop for my Sparking. Even though I am overwhelming very strategically, it does hurt when you don't have that super combo turned on, and just being able to control your Awakening and then control when you go down to 4 life late game is pretty huge, because you can tempo it out and make sure that you're using Roshis when you want to use them. So you're not really relying on them so much as far as when it comes to super combos. Next, I have 3 Aandroidd 8s, which is really good because it scries for top 7 to look for a skillless card. But obviously its main reason is in conjunction with the one-drop Kid Goku, which I feel like skipped over, but it's just one of those self-explanatory cards you have to play 4 of in this deck, so I don't really think Kid Ku needs that much of an explanation, but Aandroidd 8 with the Kid Ku combo of being able to combo off the one-drop Goku and just kind of destroy one of your opponent's battle cards is really, really good. Essentially, it's really the only answer that you have in this deck to like Victory Strike or Height of Mastery or anything like that, so you kind of rely on it a little bit in those specific matchups, but also, you know, once you're awakened, it does essentially fetch you a 10k combo if needed. 3 is a good number. I think 4, I think the argument can be made for 4, but I just personally don't like it at 4, and I think 2 is too little. I think 3 is the sweet spot when it comes to the ratios in this deck for the Aandroidd 8s, just because it's pretty toolboxy when it comes to that. Next, we have 5 4-star Dragon Balls. I feel like 5 is a really good number. There were a couple times where I actually didn't open a Dragon Ball or a one-drop Kid Goku. That's why I have, as you can see right under it, I do have Sorbet in the deck. But when you do open with the 4-star ball, it's a lot more important, believe it or not, opening with the 4-star ball than it is with the one-drop Kid Ku, just because it cycles your deck and it makes your leader 5k stronger on the front. So I feel like, you know, I'm trying to hard mull for 4-star ball in the beginning of the game. But worst case scenario, if I need to, I can get it with the Sorbet. If need be, you just have it turn 1, turn 2 the latest. But I didn't feel like I bricked too much in this tournament. I definitely feel like by turn 2 the latest, I had my 4-star ball. And there were a lot of times where late game, when I was pushing damage with a skillless battle card, I had all 5 balls in hand to combo. So it's pretty cool. We already went over Mysterious Warrior. 2 Furthering Destruction Champas. It's just really good. You know, your opponent knows that you're going to go wide with this deck, so they might be at 2 life and they might not negate your leader attack. So if you have enough to push damage and make your leader swing lethal, it's nice giving it double strike with Champa, because obviously if they've already foregone the counter step, you know, anticipating a bigger play, you could just commit everything to your leader and just kind of essentially sneak out some wins that way. Also, it's really good with Mira and Battering, because that just essentially is an unbeatable combo. Mira double strike Battering is essentially GG. So Furthering Destruction Champa does have a lot of synergy in this deck. You can make your leader double strike. You can make your vanillas really huge, you know, and give them double strike as well. So it's just a really good gotcha card. And then next, probably the spiciest card in the deck, I'm playing 2 of Set 1 Zarbon. Now, why am I playing Set 1 Zarbon? Okay, so my biggest fear with this deck is going up against Victory Strike and Height of Mastery. And the only way I can really answer those cards is by comboing my one-drop Kid Ku. So my theory is to play Zarbon to... basically what Zarbon does is when you use it as a defensive combo, you can choose one of your battle cards and restand it or put it in active mode. So when Height of Mastery comes down on turn 4 and taps down your Kid Ku so you can't combo with it, you can then combo the Zarbon, restand the Kid Ku, and then combo the Kid Ku and pop the Height of Mastery, because it does not have barrier. Now, for those who are like, oh, well, what if they just swing directly into Victory Strike? That's totally fine, too. You can still combo off the Kid Ku to pop the Victory Strike, and then they have to either restart the chain or they completely lose. Good players with Broly leaders will play around this card, because Broly has the added effect of being able to tap down one of your battle cards. Most likely they're going to swing and tap down the Aandroidd 8, so you don't get that combo off. So you do have to be very, very careful when you do it, and kind of, if you get it off at all one time, your opponent's going to be ready for it the remaining 2 games. So you just kind of have to, you know, be smart when you play it, and know your matchups. But it's definitely, for me, one of the most efficient ways of dealing with Victory Strike and Height of Mastery. Next, we have Battering, self-explanatory. Crusher Ball. Crusher Ball is really good because it does get around Victory Strike decks. It also helps with the Broly matchup, you know, just being able to rest those big creatures, and then just dealing with them on your turn is a lot easier than dealing with them on your opponent's turn. So Crusher Ball is really good. It's just a really good card right now. Worst case scenario, it is yellow energy or a yellow pitch for Battering. And then we have the remaining cards here. We have 2-drop Vanilla Super Saiyan Blue, which is obviously self-explanatory. I am only playing 8 vanillas in the deck. I didn't feel like 10 was necessary, but I can see why other builds use 10. But for me personally, I think 8 is enough. I am playing the 2 sorbets just to have a turn 1 search ball if I need it. But for the most part, it was a lot of yellow energy for sorbet as well as a pitch fodder for battering, which is not bad. 4 Fearless Assault Krillin. It's really good because it can control your awakening, and for decks that want to throw you out or stall you, you can gain advantage off of having just multiple Assault Krillins on the board to be able to pressure in for that critical damage. And then I have 2 Source of Power Son Goku. This card is really good, but really bad at the same time. It's really good in slower matchups. That you're like, if you're playing against Wish decks, it's really good because it can put a body on board and get you cards. You can go down from either 8 to 6 or 6 to 4, depending on the state of the game, and either turning on your super combos or awakening. And it's a 20k swing. So worst case scenario, it's a 5k combo or charge fodder or battering fodder, but this card didn't really come up so much in the tournament, but when I tested prior to the event, it did have its uses, so I felt like playing 2 was a pretty good spot. And then last but not least, 4 of the 3-drop 30k GT Son Gokus. This is your big vanilla body, your 30k body. It does help a lot, putting pressure on your opponent with a 30k swing that you can essentially get out for 2 energy at any time of the game because you can get it from your drop. So that's pretty much the list. As far as my matchups go, round 1, I went up against Golden Frieza. I won that. Round 2 was my only loss, and it was to my buddy Joe. Shout out to Joe. He built like some janky cell hand control deck. It caught me so off guard, and I was not ready for it. And then from then on out, I was just like, oh my god, I can't believe Joe did this to me. But kudos to him for playing something off the wall and off the cuff and having success with it. Hand control, is just rough to play around. But for the most part, I think I had a pretty good event aside from that. Round 3, I played against Janemba and I won. Round 4, I played against a BR Gogeta, which I will be featuring my BR Gogeta matchup in a battle chamber this week. And that was a really good game. It came down to the wire, but I was able to pull it out. And then my last round was against Evan, who was playing Janemba as well. So I beat 2 Janembas, a Golden Frieza, and a BR Gogeta, and I was able to get 3rd place. Second place was Chilai Victory Strike, and first place was my teammate Brian. Shout out to you, the mastermind. He went undefeated with Blue Skillless. So we are going to be featuring on this channel the Chilai deck profile as well as the Blue Skillless deck profile. So stay tuned for that, and also check out the Battle Chamber episode this week for the matchup between the Yellow Skillless and the BR Gogeta. Before I get on out of here, real quick shout outs to my sponsors, Computer and Gaming Universe. Without them, none of this would be possible here. Also, shout out to Level 1 Games for holding a very consistent weekly Dragon Ball tournament and also being able to host the preliminary event. And of course, last but not least, shout out to Shenron's Lair for this amazing format that they provide us here online for the deck building videos that we do here at No Counters, No Combos. With that being said, we're going to get out of here. Thank you guys for the continuing support, even when I've slacked and not been able to produce consistent content for you. I really still do appreciate all the support. I hope you guys are enjoying what we're doing here at No Counters, No Combos. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, and let me know what you guys think about this deck, if you would change any ratios or if there's something that you're experimenting with that's been giving you some success. Thank you again so much, and we will see you in the next video. Be there or be squared.